So, you probably read the title. If not, then I just literally just now finished reading The Chosen by Chaim Potok. This one. There we go. Now you can see it. This is my copy of it. I wanted to. I didn't. There's the back. I didn't really know if I should do a review on this or not, but I was like, I might as well. Oh, these are upside down. I have books in my lap, other books. And after reading this and really just sitting and thinking about it for a little while, I decided that, yeah, I probably should review this. And this is hands down one of the greatest books I've ever read. I have read many, many, many books. Probably not as many as I think, but to me it's a lot. And after a long time of struggling to find good books, the past few books I've read here recently have been some of the best. And this one, and I can't believe I'm saying it, it actually beat my favorite book ever. And that is a very unknown book. You probably won't even know it. I'll be surprised if you do. But it's this. This has been my number one favorite book ever for a really, really long time. I still love it. Even though I don't reread my favorite books, I haven't reread any of my books, but maybe a different outcome or a different outlook will change my opinion on some of these books when I do eventually reread them. I just have too many new ones to read. And I can't believe it did beat it. Many books have came close. The Alchemist almost beat Sankhya. Almost. It came very, very close. But if I had to rank a lot of my books, sorry if I'm going on about, I'll get to the book review. Skip ahead. The Alchemist has been second. Great Gatsby is probably number 3 or 4. Camus is definitely 3 or 4. Or, not Camus. The Stranger by Albert Camus. It's definitely 3 or 4. Probably 3. As much as I love The Great Gatsby. The Stranger will hopefully be the very first movie I ever make. I'll love to. But let's get into The Chosen. This, be prepared for some spoilers. It's very hard for me to do non-spoilers, so there might be spoilers here and there. So if you don't want to be completely spoiled, I'll try to keep it as short and as less spoiler as possible, but it's going to be very, very hard because I don't know how to do non-spoilers, and I don't know what counts as a spoiler and what's not. So just be aware. So, the book is about 2 Jewish boys that become friends. And that's putting it simple. At the very beginning, it takes place during a ball game. Well, not at the very beginning. It's a little bit, and then it gets into the ball game part. And it's basically 2 ball teams going against each other. Baseball, basically. And it's these Jews against the Hasidic Jews of New York. It takes place in New York. And it takes place during around World War II. World War II is still going on. It hasn't ended yet, but it is still going on. It takes place right around when D-Day is getting ready to happen and stuff like that. But if you're one of those people like me trying to find books that aren't about that, especially from, Jewish authors, it's very, very, very difficult. Very difficult. But thankfully, the war is definitely in the background a lot of the time. It does pop up here and there, but it is not the main focus. It sort of plays a big part, sort of. But it is not like, hey, this is what this is about. It's not like that. It's a lot more in the background, and also it does take a back seat for a very long time, until it sort of only appears when very important events happen in the war, but it's not like it's just constant. It's not like that. So if you're one of those people like me that tries to find books that aren't mainly focused on that, this is not one of them. It does play a part, but it only appears when there's certain big events in the war, like the end or D-Day and stuff like that. That's when it appears. But when the war is over, it does take place after the war as well. It just completely disappears and is never mentioned again, except for little parts here and there, but it is like never mentioned again. And I know that sounds controversial, and I'm not saying that, we should just ignore these things and pretend it never happened. It's not like that. It's more of like, I'm sure you can understand. It's just that it feels like that's all these books are a lot of the time when you try and find books from these authors. But it is mostly about friendship. The best way I can describe this book is... Oh god, that scared the shit out of me. I forgot to silence my phone, my bad. That scared the absolute shit out of me. Oh, sorry. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. The best way I can describe it is it's about friendship and parenting as well. Also, if you are a fan of the book Stoner by John Williams, you definitely need to read this book, for real. Especially whenever it gets to certain chapters and near the end. If you're a fan of like a lot of like the school and academic stuff from Stoner, you will love this book, for real. You need to read this if you like Stoner. I personally thought Stoner was good. I wouldn't call it the greatest novel ever written. Stoner has a lot of flaws, in my opinion, but this book, I will say, does not have flaws. It does not have flaws. Some chapters are longer than others. Also, this book is a slow burner. It is 245 pages in total. Not counting the before and after stuff, because I don't count that stuff, like the introductions and credits and all that. I don't count that stuff because I don't read it. But I only count the page numbers for the story itself. So story-wise, it is 245 pages. And it is a slow burner, a very slow burner. But it is worth it. And also, if you're into philosophy, I'm not huge into philosophy. I do a lot of research and watch a lot of videos. I don't read much philosophy, but I do research on it. This is also a book for you. basically what happens is in the book, spoiler alert here, the main character, Reuven, why did I forget his last name? Moulter. Reuven Moulter gets hit in the face with a baseball, and it breaks his glasses and gets into his eye. And a piece of glass goes into his eye, and he's sent to the hospital and stuff like that. And he hates Danny Saunders because he's the one that done it to him. He hit the ball and it went right to Danny's face. And they, at least to Reuven, not so much Danny, but to Reuven, he really hates him for a good while. And then they slowly start to forgive each other and become really good friends. And that's when the book really takes off. And there's a lot of things in there that will make you think, for sure, and find stuff very fascinating. This book is definitely very, very fascinating, especially the topics it discusses, and sort of like the meaning of friendship and also parenting as well. I think this is probably one of the well-balanced books I've read, besides, I can't think of another book. I know I've read something recently that was extremely well-balanced. But it definitely is very balanced between, like, talking about the war and also just focusing on life stuff. Like, even when it gets really, really slow and you think, oh, it's just dragging on, it still has meaning and it still keeps your attention. At least to me it did. And also, if you're wondering, no, you don't have to be Jewish to understand this book. I'm not Jewish. I only find that stuff extremely fascinating. I find their culture and stuff extremely fascinating. But you don't need to. I would recommend looking up and learning about a few things, especially the terms such as Talmud and Torah and Passover and Shabbat. I do recommend looking some of this stuff up just to get a little bit educated. When it comes to World War II stuff, if you know nothing about World War II, go ahead. But if you know World War II, especially the Holocaust and stuff like that, don't worry about it. Seriously, just don't worry about it. When it comes to like the war stuff, it's not important. It really isn't. You don't really need to do research on that because you will most likely already know everything about World War II. Even if you aren't like a history buff or anything, you'll know. You'll be like, oh, I know that. But you really won't need to do much research on World War II or even the times that it takes place in like 1940s. You won't really need to do research because it's not heavy when it comes to, like, it's not referencing a whole lot of stuff that's culturally significant in that time period at all. Aside from, being radio. But of course, again, you don't need to research that. I would research a little bit of Jewish history and especially the terms for things and what they are and what they mean. That's really about it. If you've seen the movie, definitely read this because the movie is also fantastic. I watched it before reading the book, and I will have to say, both are great. I would gladly rewatch the movie and reread the book. The movie is definitely, I would call it an abridged version of this. Despite this being only 200 pages, I would call the movie a abridged version of the book with a few changes. Actually a lot of changes. But I feel like the movie really doesn't, for the very first time, I'm admitting this, The movie does not capture a lot of the meaning in the book. But I will say when it comes to emotional impact, the movie definitely did it for me, except for the ending of the book. I did tear up a bit. So it is a tearjerker at times, especially if you're get really invested into things. It can hit you at times. But I will have to say this book is fantastic. Seriously, just go read it. This is one of the greatest books I've ever read, so far at least. I still have a lot of books I want to read, and a lot of authors I want to get through. But this is definitely one of the greatest books I have ever read in my life. I will return to it. I will come back to it, especially the movie. I will hunt down with spear and sword for the DVD of the movie so I can own it. Because I do want to own the movie and I want to watch the movie again. I watched it for free on YouTube. It might still be free here on YouTube. I don't know. I do. If you are struggling to read it, I do recommend watching the movie first because it does help get the characters and the voices. Even though in the book it says that Danny speaks perfect English, in the movie he has an accent. I still read it as him having an accent. But I will say that I would recommend watching the movie first, especially if you struggle with it and say, "Oh, this is not for me." Especially during the ball game scene, I know that can probably turn someone off because it's long. It is very long, especially in the hospital part. The hospital part goes on for a long time, but it is very meaningful, and it does hold meaning for the rest of the book. You know, it's not like a lot of books I've read where it just drags on just to make the book longer and it makes no damn sense. With this, it drags on for a purpose. There's actually a purpose for this stuff. And I did find it relatable at times, especially at the very end. I did find it very relatable, especially my situation, which I didn't think I would. But this book is just go read it. Seriously, go read it. I know a lot of people are more familiar with the movie than the book, but seriously, read the book. It is one of the greatest books I've ever read. I can't believe it beat Sankhya, but after a long thought, as perfect as Sankhya is, this actually beat it. And it's honestly confused me because I have no idea what placement to put Sankhya now. I can't put it at second because The Alchemist is so damn good. But I definitely recommend reading the book for real. It's perfect. It really is perfect. No flaws. 10 out of 10 for real. 10 out of 10. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely read again for sure. I will definitely come back to this one. So thank you for watching for this review. Go check out some of my other videos, both reviews and reactions and games, all that. So I am the man. Goodbye.